This is the Automotive Repair Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Speak Up Effective Communication, the show on the Auto Repair Podcast Network focused on elevating your communication and leadership skills. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think we have a fun topic because it is about podcasting. In our episode today, we are talking about something related to cybersecurity, in particular, podcast scams. Now, all organizations right now in this world, any day, for the last 10 years, really, you should be having regular conversations. Longer than that, as long as the internet's been around, regular conversations should be happening with your colleagues and team members, friends and family to avoid scams and otherwise just discuss some other principles of cybersecurity. Not everything that is a scam out there is as obvious to some of us as others. And while we've been having talks on security internally at AutoFlow, being a tech company, one of my favorite parts of a recent discussion is the uptick in those fake podcast invitation scams. Oh, as a podcaster, this is really frustrating to see for a number of reasons. We'll get into some of that here. But my question for you is, have you seen one of these? It's an email that comes from an unknown almost always, and they indicate you are just the right person to be a guest on their podcast. Now, before you think like, oh, these sort of things would never fool me, the reason I'm having this conversation today is I have had smart, successful associates in our industry ask me advice about whether they should respond to some of these invitations. They seem that legitimate. People I know who are genuinely savvy about scams still ask about it. And that's when I realized we need to have a conversation about this. So as a podcaster who does need to communicate by email and other means with potential guests, yes, this absolutely affects me and my co-host colleagues out here on the Auto Repair Podcast Network. Cold outreach is dead on this thing. If there's a guest I want to invite, I need to go through whole different avenues now in order to make sure the introduction is going to land. And it's a process. Sometimes it can be very time consuming and a lot more challenging. And this is one of the points. Invites need to be credible, which leads me to a related word for our word of the day today. And that word of the day is credulous. We'll define that word for you, and we'll continue this topic after we hear a word from our sponsors who make this podcast possible. Stop stressing over your business. You deserve a good night's sleep. The Institute's coaching helps you achieve success and financial peace. Learn more at wearetheinstitute.com/business-assessment. AutoFlow is your partner in technology. With AutoFlow, enhance your client interactions in a single thread before, during, and after the visit. To see how AutoFlow makes it simple, visit autoflow.com. Your trusted companion, ShopDog Marketing, is right by your side, attracting the best customers and building long-term growth. Call ShopDog Marketing today or visit shopdogmarketing.com. Cover your communication need and revolutionize your auto repair business with AI-driven call analytics from Inbound. Explore more at callinbound.com. Are you passing along credit card fees to your customers? No one likes that. Express is the only 0% fee alternative to credit card surcharging. Visit myexpress.io. Okay, we are back, and the word of the day today is credulous, and that is an adjective. It means ready to believe, especially on slight or uncertain evidence. Used in a sentence, someone may be accused of swindling credulous investors, or few people are credulous enough to believe such nonsense like these podcast scams that are landing in inboxes. Okay, look, what I've learned when it comes to cybersecurity things, those especially emails or text scams or any other type of scam that will be a phone call these days, this is interesting to me because these scams seem glaringly obvious in many cases, red flags everywhere. But I had one associate recently, someone who just had a nice string of recent successes, And I believe they interpret one of these fake invites for these podcasts as a timely and due piece of recognition for their recent achievements. It just seemed right. I'd argue with them when they asked about this. I say, hey man, you're no doubt going to be a great guest on podcast. I'd interview you on some topic if you're interested in talking about a topic that's specifically like one that you are passionate about. But these people in that email, they didn't indicate a topic and you don't know them. And dude, I get these all the time. I've had no less than a dozen of these, specifically these podcast type invites. And I had to pull up examples and show them how common this scam is. And even another colleague who also has seen these sort of things that go straight to the spam folder. But even then, they were a little embarrassed and defensive, my associate, about this. And it seemed like, oh, I'll just sort of see. I'm going to go along with it and see because it looks so legitimate. And that right there, that's exactly why these scams work so well and exactly why I am doing this episode. I'm going to give you an example of what one of these emails looks like, but I'm going to give you real quick some simple security policy checks that I run through. These are absurdly simple. These are just Craig things. These aren't something that I've learned out there. This is something I live by because of the things I've learned out there. And rule number one is if I don't know the person and haven't been introduced through someone I do know, it goes straight into the trash. No exceptions. Rule number two, if I didn't put myself out there with regards to interest in whatever it is that they're offering, it's also trash. This goes for promotions, invites, you name it. Generally, things that come to me, I don't reply directly to. If it is something that triggers an interest, I'll go do outside research, not through that thread in the email. Simple. Rule number three, never reply to emails or texts that fall into the trash category and the number 1 and 2 principles. Just don't reply. Don't. Even to say no thanks. Any reply confirms you're a real person at a real email address or a text for that matter. Rule number 4, never click a link in any email or text unless it was expected. If you're not expecting a package, don't click the tracking link, right? If you didn't request a password reset, don't click it. If it looks like it's from your bank, who cares? Go log into your bank on your own. Never use the links provided in an unfamiliar number, especially if it wasn't prompted or initiated by you and you're actually expecting it from a real case. There's very specific things there. But now let's go into these particular email scams and look at the anatomy of this thing. I'm going to read for you, and maybe I'll try to put this into the show notes as well so you can read it yourself, exactly what one of these emails looks like. And it is a very clever looking email, complete with an individual that's faking a forward, all of it. So this one came to me. This is a real example on Monday, September 1. It was 3:55 p.m. The name of the sender is Idris Ahmadi, EDRISAHMADI, and the email idrisamadi@megaevolvonei.com. It's a weird name, hard to say. And it says, hey, Craig, I'm pretty sure you are busy and wanted to make sure this did not get buried. Because I had never replied to the other one. I had forgotten to block this one in my inbox. So I had a follow-up even on the initial attempt that they had. And it said, all the best, Idris Ahmadi, Evolvion AI. But the real first one came on Wednesday, August 27, 5:34 p.m., again from Idris Ahmadi, where he wrote, hi, Craig. My colleague Derek came across your profile while looking for leaders in the automotive industry. We're launching a new podcast series highlighting forward-thinking figures, and we'd love to feature you in an upcoming episode. We'll dive into your background, the challenges you've overcome, and how you've carved out your place in the automotive space. Your perspective would add real value to the conversation. Would you be open to a brief call to discuss? Best regards, Idris Ahmadi, CEO, Evolvion AI. So if this is a real person, by the way, and somehow I get a phone call someday, it's like, dude, totally wasn't a scam. Like, this is almost believable. You heard this whole thing. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe so. And there's this little forwarded messages from this guy, Derek Velkovic. That was sent on July 16, 2025, 2:15, which is interesting to me that I finally got something middle of August. What was that? August 27. Like, the CEO, Idris, got this, and it said subject, sent July 16, 2025. That's probably about timely for a CEO, isn't it? To August 27 from July. And yeah, a little over a month to actually do something. Yeah. But here's the thing. The forwarded message from Derek Volkovic sent July 16, 2025, 2:15 p.m. to Idris Ahmadi. Subject, reach out to Craig-podcast. Very simple subject. Nice C-suite level subjects there for a busy CEO, maybe you'd think, right? It says, Idris, I was searching for possible guests for the podcast and came across Craig from AutoFlow. This looks like someone who'd add real value. Definitely worth reaching out. Exclamation point. Derek Volkovic. That was it. No title for this individual or anything else. That's the email thread. So had some interesting anatomy, didn't it? Let's discuss it. And yes, I will put this in the show notes for you because it's kind of fun to see this. Looking to take your shop to the next level of quality service, team culture, and overall profitability? At the Institute, we provide personalized coaching that aligns with your goals of financial stability, excellent customer service, and employee satisfaction. Our priority is helping you establish significant and sustainable progress. We work with you to create strategies that reduce the stress of running your business, improve your quality and performance, and optimize your profitability. Experience the benefits of professional coaching by visiting wearetheinstitute.com/business-assessment. Hey friends, as you know, I'm a proud member of the AutoFlow team, and let me tell you, we've changed how business is done for auto shops everywhere. We support your client experience before, during, and after the work is done. Imagine this. Timely updates sent directly to your clients, branded digital vehicle inspections, and seamless communication from start to finish. That's why shops love AutoFlow. And hey, with those 5-star reviews rolling in, you'll wonder how you ever managed without us. Take an important next step and take your auto shop to the next level. Visit www.autoflow.com. Get on board with an AutoFlow trial. Looking to drive more customers to your auto repair shop? Trust ShopDog Marketing to be your reliable companion with AI-powered customer-first marketing, websites, and high-ranking local search. Maximize your reach with our mobile-first and voice search expertise. Car counts are like ice cream. Sweeten your revenue with ShopDog Marketing. Grab our free guide to learn how AI can drive more repair orders every day. Don't miss out on this chance to boost your business. Visit shopdogmarketing.com. Every professional auto repair shop needs a trusted communication partner. At Inbound, our established VoIP platform is backed by years of industry experience, guarantees reliable connections, and is combined with cutting-edge AI-powered analytics. We deliver actionable insights that support your business growth. With Inbound, you get more than just calls. You get a smarter, more efficient operation. Get Inbound on your team today and see how we can transform your business. Visit callinbound.com. Credit card surcharging sounds effective, but is the single most damaging action to your shop in the last decade. If you're surcharging, you're tarnishing your reputation and losing customers as we speak. Express is the only 0% fee option to surcharging that your customers already know how to use. No tricks, no hidden fees, just a smarter way for auto shops to keep what's yours and do right by your customers. Book a free consultation with Express today by visiting myexpress.io and see how the most successful shops in the country are flipping the script on credit card processors. First and foremost, like the whole thing, like, dude, this is a scam. Every single piece of this, in my mind, is an obvious scam. Mega Evol AI. What? I can't even say your company name. Clearly, it's totally scam. But when I looked up, there's nothing. The company Evolvion AI doesn't exist. The people, Idris Ahmadi, Derek, they didn't exist either. There's nothing to this thing that really said, like, this is a legitimate thing. You could see, though, maybe that's not always the case. Someone starting out in a podcast doing a bunch of research on individuals, it would be flattering if someone and some CEO of an AI company noticed the things I'm trying to do here in the automotive industry. Absolutely. But I'm not that naive. Like, I don't expect some obscure CEO of an obscure AI company to go trolling around the internet, having a guy that says, oh yeah, this guy's the one on our brand new podcast series. He's the one we need. I have a different ego check. I was like, Someone else will be better. They can go ahead and do that. I'm happy where I'm doing my own thing, and I have my own podcast, so I'm okay with this. It doesn't matter if I miss it. But let's think for a second about how these scams actually work. So I want to shift over into what would happen if you did actually respond to one of these. This is where it would get interesting. Even if you just want to test the waters and all right, maybe I'll just reply. This is where it actually does get a little scary. I did some research on this, and the way this will work is they'll actually reply. There are generally some people that are just waiting for this. They send out a whole bunch of these things. They'll schedule a tech check or a pre-interview meeting eventually. They'll usually do this on Zoom or WhatsApp or Messenger. During this meeting, they'll ask you to share your screen or grant them remote access. They might even say they need to set up Facebook Live for the recording and walk you through changing your Facebook settings. Fake podcast invitation scams like this can really go a lot of different directions. But those are generally where you're going to find yourself in some trouble. And this is where they get you. By changing some of those settings, especially in things like Facebook, you're actually granting them admin access to your Facebook page. And once they have that, they can lock you out of your own account, delete all of your content, even access any monetization payouts that you've set up. So it gets really, really scuzzy. Some of these scammers have gotten sophisticated enough. They've actually created a few real podcast episodes to establish some sort of legitimacy as well. There's some sites you can look at on this if you want to do your own research. But when you search for podcasts named on some of these scams, there's so many different ones you'll see. You might actually find something. And with AI being able to literally just create images of people nowadays and its own audio with a decent voice and maybe even a real subject. I mean, people can create stuff in mere minutes now. So even the fact that you might find some what look like legitimate episodes on another show, still not trustworthy. It's incredible. And then there's even some incentivization that they'll do. They might even promise to pay you sometimes $2,000, $3,000 for a 45-minute interview. Folks, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. We legitimate podcasters do not have that kind of money in our pocket for 45-minute episodes. And God bless you if you really think that 45 minutes is going to net you that. And maybe someday you're going to be that guy. Go for it. But that is not the case here. Let's talk a little bit more about how they find you, though. And this is, like, you might be wondering this. Like, it feels so pertinent with the messaging on this. It can be so easily done, though. When you think about this, especially in our AI era, you got to ask, how are they finding me? If you're not asking, why me, with a great deal of skepticism for an unknown reach out, then you're already doing something wrong here in this case. Like, you should be asking, how do they know my name? How do they know my company? Even some specific details about what I do and what industry I serve. The answer is like LinkedIn scraping or any social media harvesting. These scammers use automated tools. They scrape data from all those profiles, your name, job title, company, even what software you mentioned using, any posts you might have made on topics. It can be collected so quickly you will end up with hundreds of profiles in a spreadsheet in just a simple hour or two. And that is how they build these sort of things. The information in these scam emails is always just specific enough to feel targeted, but generic enough to be completely automated. They're not doing individual research on you. They're running a numbers game. Send out 1,000 emails, get 10 responses, compromise 5 accounts. That's a profitable day in the scamming world. And this is where it gets fun too. It's an embarrassment factor that keeps us from coming to the top. And this is the thing I really want to address. The embarrassment and shame that comes with almost, even if you didn't fall for it, even almost falling for one of these scams. My colleague, my associate who was defensive about this, that reaction is completely understandable. Nobody wants to admit they almost got scammed. That embarrassment is exactly what these scammers count on. The less we talk about it, the more people fall for it. The silence helps them. So in this case, it hits me a lot more different than I think it does other people, because the main point of my show here on Speak Up Effective Communication is there is latent genius out there in you, individuals, my loyal listeners that might be afraid to speak. My mission literally is to instill confidence and techniques and strategies and just start getting people out of their comfort zone so that they can become great guests I know they can be. I know you can be. Or better yet, I'd love to see you on a stage someday, changing lives with your stories. Oh, man. Let me say this loud and clear for any of you who've seen these emails and thought, oh yeah, I'm going to check it out here. Look, you are worth interviewing. 100% you'd be a great guest. No question. None whatsoever. That is truth. You have valuable expertise and experience in your area of this industry or others. And the fact that scammers are targeting you may even be proof of that fact by itself. You have something of value, even if it's just your social media following or your network. Point here is don't feel embarrassed. The solution here now, let's talk about this. What if you do find one of these emails in your box and you kind of almost fell for it? Maybe you did. I don't know. You want to talk about something, don't you? That's what I've learned from these sort of cases. Like, oh, hey, like if someone says, hey, does this seem like a scam? I'll say, hey, does it seem like there's a topic that's burning on your heart that you'd like to speak up about? Hey, that's great. So you got to get out of your little isolation bubble in this thing. You got to ask your colleagues, hey, have you been getting weird podcast invitations? Chances are very high right now that they have seen an email exactly like the one you might be looking at. And hey, it's going to be especially true if they also have public LinkedIn or Facebook presence. Secondly, flip the script. Instead of waiting for invitations, reach out to legitimate podcasters in your industry. Research shows that if you're interested in being a guest, podcasters are interested in having them. I made that up. I have no idea if there's research on this. I just know this from firsthand experience. Hey, check their websites. Any podcast that you become aware of, check the website. Look at the recent guest list. Google the name and plus scam to see if there's more complaints on that specific stuff. There's a lot of other research that you can do to weed out any of the illegitimate ones. But the advice here is obviously go look for legitimate ones. If you've now had the seed planted through a scam email that, man, I kind of do think I have something to offer and I should go on a podcast and talk about this. Hey, here we are, right? So the other piece, I would say follow those 4 rules. If it is an unknown sender, unsolicited offer, it's trash. It's that simple. It's just that simple. If you're missing out on an opportunity, so be it. It's safer still, and you can go find your own. Another piece here is probably do need to enable some 2-factor authentication on all your social media accounts these days. 2FA, 2-factor authentication. This is becoming very, very, very standard and required. We're requiring it in more and more things all the time. Folks, we're entering a time period now where you must not share your screen or grant remote access to someone you don't know and trust, no matter how legitimate they seem. And there's so many other pieces to this, but security matters today. There is a bigger picture here. This episode really isn't just about fake podcast invitations. It's about something bigger, like what I would call the information resilience. We've discussed this in some previous episodes, and what I see is this coming wave of technology here in this digital AI-driven world. We live now in a time where scammers are getting more sophisticated every day. They're using AI to write better emails. They're impersonating real people, real companies, and pretty soon we'll be dealing with AI-generated voice calls and deep fake videos impersonating celebrities or other known figures in our industry. I have video podcasts out here. My voice is out there. It would take no effort for an AI to imitate me. Please never do that. That is also illegal without someone's consent. But Sora 2, some of these apps right now from OpenAI and the videos it's capable of producing. I mean, you have people doing some terrible things with the likeness of Martin Luther King Jr. or even Robin Williams. There's been news stories on this and how hurtful that is to the families behind these great figures, and to see them and their likeness used for something that really doesn't respect what they're like. Gosh, it's getting scuzzy. It's getting real scuzzy out there. So to wrap this up, here is your action item for today. If you have a public profile on LinkedIn or social media, go check your privacy settings and make sure you're comfortable with the settings that you find in there and what people are able to see and scrape. Or you're going to have to really just continually expect to find some of these sort of things, especially if your email is out there. That's generally a public piece on a lot of those LinkedIn profiles. It can be something maybe you don't want to have out there anymore. Maybe that you're past that point of needing to have your email on your LinkedIn profile. Good for you if that's the case. I've deleted Facebook myself. I'm no longer on it. I think it's just too scammy, too many bots, too many things, and there's going to be too many mistruths to even care to consider. So I've left the space entirely, and I think you can do that as well. And if you do get one of these fake podcast invites, delete it. Don't reply, don't engage, just delete it, move on with your day. Report it as spam so it doesn't keep resurfacing, block that individual from being able to do follow-up. And if you do want to be on a podcast and be a guest, be proactive, reach out to shows you actually respect, build those real relationships and do it the right way. But hey, if you're in the automotive industry and you want to be a guest on a real podcast, reach out to us here on the Auto Repair Podcast Network. Any of the shows on this network, generally speaking, if you reach out to the host on these shows, I promise you, if you have a topic of interest, we're going to listen to it. So, hey, if you are thinking that yourself right now on hearing this episode, you have something to add, something you're curious about, something you would like to talk about or like to be a guest to discuss, email me here at speakup@CraigO'Neill.net. Speakup, one word, at CraigO'Neill.net. That's O'Neill with 2 L's, O'Neill. We do appreciate hearing from you and anything that may help you. Suggestions on topics you'd like to hear or discuss, anything that would help you on your communication journey. And hey, maybe reach out and listen up as well to the other shows on the Auto Repair Podcast Network. We have Remarkable Results Radio with Carm Capriato. I actually talked to Carm while in a men's room one time and agreed to be on his podcast. It was just on the way out of the men's room, the restroom at an event. I had met him before that. The first time I agreed to be on a podcast was actually in the men's restroom. True story. I wonder if Carm remembers. We'll have to talk about that. That's a legitimate approach, by the way. And of course, Matt Fonslow's Diagnosing the Aftermarket A through Z. Matt, you could find him anywhere at some of these events. And yeah, he'd probably make another, he's a fun one. He has some great guests on his as well. Business by the Numbers, Hunt Demarest, Auto Repair Marketing Podcast, Brian and Kim Walker. Been a guest on Brian and Kim Walker's podcast. Good time. Got to reciprocate that someday. Weekly Blitz with Coach Chris Cotton. Been a guest there too. Got to reciprocate that one as well. Haven't seen Mr. Cotton in a little while, but I look forward to seeing him hopefully at SEMA or Apex here soon. Hopefully we'll see you at Apex or SEMA as well. But I want to thank all of our sponsors who I will get to see very shortly here in Salt Lake and then hopefully again in Industry Week in Las Vegas. Thank you so much. And they, by the way, great sponsors of a multitude and a variety of different offerings. Good indicator, legitimate podcast. It's not just the company the individual works for. Really helps. So, hey, thanks, sponsors, for legitimizing me. I do appreciate it. And hey, everyone listening out there, please keep it up. Listen up, speak up, stay safe. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Speak Up, Effective Communication with Craig O'Neill on the Automotive Repair Podcast Network. Download our exclusive podcast app at automotiverepairpodcastnetwork.com because the best conversations in the industry start here. Check the show notes for Craig's YouTube channel and email. Let him know what topics you'd like him to speak up about.
Yeah.